Okay, we're talking short-chain fatty acids, but man, I got ticked off this morning. A friend of mine, she's an esthetician who should know better, is dealing with some hernia issues. Now, hernias are a connective tissue problem, and if you're herniating or if you have a prolapse issue, both prolapses and hernias are a sign that the connective tissue in the body is breaking down. The connective tissue is located deep in the body, relatively deep in the body. It may not appear deep, but considering the small size of cells, it is pretty darn deep. And so this poor gal's dealing with hernias, and some just nasty, rude company, and I'm going to call them out. They're called Hunter's Natural Health, and I never do this, but I just got so ticked off. Hunter's Natural Health, and they're located in Baltimore, Maryland. And how these people live with themselves, I don't know, and I don't ever do this, and I rarely do this, but these guys are so egregious and so offensive to anybody who understands anything about health. So you got patients or people who are dealing with just a horrible condition. Their body's falling apart. That's what a hernia is. A hernia is when the connective tissue, the substance that's located deep in the body that keeps the body intact, starts to break down. It breaks down, if you've listened to this program, for the same reason everything we talk about breaks down. Toxicity, lack of nutrition, and lack of oxygen, respiration, toxification, lack of or suffocation, I should say, toxification, and starvation. And then you got this company, Hunter's Natural Health, website, naturalhealthinformation.com. How obnoxious. They have the nerve, for somebody's body is falling apart, and they're herniating, and they're literally dissolving, and their body's breaking apart. And this obnoxious company, this rude company, for $70 is selling a poultice, a ointment to rub on your hernias, an ointment that's made up of, where does it say here? Colloidal silver, comfrey, and glycerin, and pine bark extract, and water for $70. And that's going to, the instructions, apply topically to remove pain from joints, muscles, and bones, and to rebuild damaged tissue. How obnoxious. Hunter's Natural Health. How do you live with yourself? You know, as a healthcare professional, I've dedicated my life, the last 32 years of my life, to helping people understand their bodies and understand health. I've dedicated the last 32 years of my life helping people understand that degeneration is not, it doesn't have to happen. It's not mandatory. It's optional. We can regenerate. We can reverse herniations. We can build the connective tissue back up, but not with colloidal silver and glycerin and comfrey for $70 for an ounce or 2 ounces. You have to understand how the body works. Now, if we don't understand how the body works, then Hunter's Natural Health is going to get our money and our business for their herbal natural poultice. By the way, regular price $90 for comfrey and glycerin and colloidal silver that you rub on. Oh, and they say it must be frozen as soon as it's received. What a disgrace. I'm thinking of even getting these people on the air just to talk to them. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. It just, you know, when healthcare professionals dedicate our lives to helping people, and then you have to go, it's hard enough to help people change their lives. But then you got to go against this crapola that's all over the internet. You don't know who to believe. People are innocent, and they read this stuff. Oh, okay, my hernia is awful. I got to get rid of it. I'm going to buy this $70 poultice. My friend of mine actually sent me an email. She wants to know if I can make this poultice for her. Look, if you got a herniation, you got a prolapse, you got osteoporosis of wherever you're herniated. You've got a breakdown that's exactly the same as osteoporosis, except it's in your belly, or it's in the connective tissue that's holding up your bladder. It's the same thing. This is so important, you guys. The body falls apart generically. If you're dealing with a chronic degenerative disease issue, what you hear on this program is nothing less than a life-changing message. And we talk a lot about specifics, and I'm a chemistry geek and a biochemistry geek, and some of you are as well. That's why you're listening to this program, and I enjoy the specifics. It's fascinating, really, how the body works. But if you're interested in healing and reversal, as far as reversal of degenerative diseases go, it doesn't really matter how the body breaks down, with the exception of reversal, with the exception of understanding how to reverse it. The specifics and the diagnosis don't matter. The name your doctor has blessed your disease with doesn't matter. The body breaks down the same way for all of us. Many people become attached to their illnesses and their identities. Their identities are their illnesses. Their identities begin to depend on their illness. Their identities depend on their disease. But listen, we all break down the same way. It's not personal. Once the breakdown occurs, then there's particular specifics and flavors and symptomology. It might involve the bones or the nerves or the brain or the heart or the blood vessels or whatever. But as far as healing and reversal of the disease process goes, it doesn't matter if it's osteoporosis in the bones. It doesn't matter if it's a prolapsed uterus. It doesn't matter if it's a chemical problem. It's all the same way. It breaks down the same way. It's all the same stuff. And one of the most interesting aspects of sickness, and surprising and maybe counterintuitive facets of the disease process, is the fact that we don't want our diseases to go away. We identify them. I know it doesn't sound right, but I've been doing this for many years. 32 years I've been dealing with people, thousands of people. I talked to a lady yesterday. She has an autoimmune disease, multiple autoimmune diseases. If you have an autoimmune disease, you got to work on the immune system. Clearly, it's an autoimmune disease. The bulk of your immune system is the digestive system. You can call them synonymous. Essentially, you could put an equal sign right next to it, right between autoimmune and digestive. You could put an equal sign. Autoimmune equals digestive. Now, there are some slight exceptions, very, very slight. So I tell her, do a food diary. Watch your foods. And I could hear silence on the end of the line. I know when people are contemplating whether they should be believing me or not. There's silence at the end of the line. Sure enough, there's silence at the end of the line. And then she says, oh, I did a food diary. It didn't work. What do you mean it didn't work? A food diary didn't work? How does it not work? You find out where your problem is, and then you eliminate the problem. All right, hang tight. We'll finish up when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Our number is 844-236-6010. We'll take your phone calls in our next segment and continue with more good health information on the bright side. Don't go away. Bright side. Apologize for that rant. It just ticked me off when I read that this morning. Anyway, so I talked to this gal yesterday, and I tell her about a food diary. Oh, I already did a food diary. Listen, if you're doing a food diary correctly, you're going to find out what kind of foods you have a problem with. It's as simple as that. And if you have a degenerative disease problem, you have a food problem, almost by definition, period. The body breaks down generically, and it begins in the digestive system for everybody. Now, just because we don't recognize that it begins in the digestive system, or we don't recognize that we got a digestive health issue, doesn't mean it's not there, because of the incredible ability of our brain to kind of turn the volume down on things that occur all the time. To the brain, things that occur all the time are not important. It's the stuff that happens in occasionally or in a surprise fashion that represents danger to the brain. The brain just kind of figures if it's happening all the time, it's not that important. So we tend to tune out our digestive symptoms. But if you have a degenerative disease, by definition, at the source, at the core, you have a digestive health issue. And this is a premise that we want to just believe. The scientific method requires taking a premise, a hypothesis, and then testing it. So what you want to do if you have a chronic degenerative disease is take the concept or the idea of a digestive health crisis as a hypothesis, as a premise. Go with it. Just take it on, wear it as a premise, and then test it and see what happens. How do you test it? Well, the easiest way is to stop eating. For the most part, almost always, for the vast majority of people, almost always, they will notice when they stop putting food into the stomach, into the digestive system, inflammation and immunity start to quiet down, start to calm down. And it's just common sense. Your immune system and your inflammatory system are located in the digestive system for the most part. Now, we're going to come to find out here in a little bit that a lot of this has to do with these short-chain fatty acids that we've been talking about. It turns out that fatty acids, short-chain fatty acids especially, in the digestive tract, in the large intestine, that are produced from fiber and bacteria, are powerfully anti-pain. They're powerfully anti-inflammatory. And they are powerfully immune system supporting. Short-chain fatty acids are the result. They're produced in the body by the activity of bacteria and fiber. The more food we eat, the more crappy food we eat, the more likely we are to have a problem with these short-chain fatty acids, and the more likely we are to have a problem with inflammation, immunity, and just general falling apart. By the way, it turns out that one of the best ways to upregulate your short-chain fatty acids is to fast. Yes, fasting, not eating, upregulates short-chain fatty acids. In fact, that's one of the mechanisms of action of fasting, is upregulation of short-chain fatty acids. So I'm talking to this gal, and I hear the blank, and then I tell her about the food diary. Oh, I already did that. You know, when I hear preconceived ideas, and I'm trying to help somebody, I let people have the preconceived ideas. There's something called beginner's mind. If we're going to really understand how to maximize our lives, whether it's mental strategies or emotional strategies or physical strategies, we got to start off with a blank slate because we have so many bad ideas. And it's not our fault, really. Our culture is filled with bad ideas, bad beliefs, memes that don't empower us, memes that empower the meme provider, whether it's the government or whether it's a company selling us products or whether it's the medical model or whether it's the legal system. There are memes that are not designed, belief ideas, belief systems, belief viruses that are designed just to perpetuate the virus or to enrich or enlarge the memer, the person putting the meme, the belief system out. If we're dealing with a degenerative disease, by definition, it's something we are doing. So if you want to reverse a degenerative disease, by definition, do something different. The good news is our bodies are generic. That means everybody has an esophagus that's connected to the stomach, that's connected to the small intestine, and the liver is plugged in there, and the gallbladder is plugged in there as well, and the pancreas is plugged in there too. And then there's the large intestine, and we all have the same system. You've got the heart and the lungs connected to each other, and then there's the brain, and it's all the same. We're all generic. And the good news is, if it breaks down generically, it heals generically. And that, my friends, if you're dealing with a chronic degenerative disease, is good news. And this is a premise. This is a hypothesis. So in the scientific method, you take a hypothesis and then you test it. So the premise, the hypothesis is we're all generic. The body is generic. The system is generic. We rebuild generically. All of us can rebuild the body the same way, whether we're dealing with osteoporosis or Alzheimer's disease or cancer or autoimmune disease. You start off with the digestive system. And I understand this is a premise. We have to accept it and believe it before we can test it and access it. The doctor's not going to tell you this, by the way. He doesn't believe this. Doctors in the medical model think this is silly. Oh, digestive health, never been proven. Nutritional supplementation, never been proven. The doctor, and it's not his fault. The individual doctor is not to blame. It's the model. The doctor's just not trained to leverage this. His job and his career depend on him not believing this. This truth puts the doctor out of a job. It mandates that he get a real job. And he's not going to tell you this. He doesn't even know it. The medical model, I'm not talking here about heroic medicine, by the way. I'm not talking about surgeries and repairing from an accident. That's awesome stuff. I'm talking about chronic, long-term degenerative disease. And a classic example, by the way, of this biochemical ignorance that saturates our culture, that is the equivalent of the medical model, involves what we've been talking about the last few days, and that's fats and fatty acids. Not only is the medical model not aware of the importance of fats and fatty acids, but even worse, via the indiscriminate use of antibiotics, the medical model has systematically killed off the main source, or a main source, of these fatty acids, and that's gut bacteria. And what's the result? An epidemic of degenerative diseases, an epidemic of digestive diseases, an epidemic of colon cancer, now the fourth leading cancer killer in the United States. And this is all under the watch of the medical model. And we've been saying here for the last couple of weeks now, short-chain fatty acids, medium-chain fatty acids, and long-chain fatty acids are unbelievably important. Just last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, the government came out saying, oh, we were mistaken about fats. It turns out they're not that bad after all. Well, of course they're not that bad. They're essential. They're essential fats. Large, medium, and small. The small ones play a super significant role in the health of the intestines, and via this link, they affect the whole body. The digestive system is the master system in the body, and everything that affects the digestive system will affect the whole body. But we live in an empire of food. We live in a culture that depends on us buying food. An empire of food. And it's been that way since the beginning of time, the beginning of recorded history. Empires of food, grain empires, have been the most significant and the largest and the most powerful empires in history. The Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, these are all food empires. The European Empire, the American Empire, the Chinese Empire, the Russian Empire, these were all grain-based empires, food-based empires. So nobody's going to tell you that you're not supposed to be eating grains because our economy runs on grains. Problem with grains and the problem with processed foods, one of the big problems with processed grains and processed foods, is the lack of fiber. And short-chain fatty acids are made from fiber. They're made from a reaction between probiotics, good bacteria in the gut, and fiber. Short-chain fatty acids can also be ingested in food, and there's one particular food, delicious food, that's a great source of short-chain fatty acids, and that's butter. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Got lines open for you. If you've been on hold, if you've been left on hold in the past, tell our call screener, and we'll get you first up. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back after this. I want to share a success story. Especially love hearing success stories. And I know you get them because I know you're out there because I get the emails and I get the phone calls. People losing 50 pounds, 70 pounds, 100 pounds. Yesterday we talked to a gentleman from Colorado who I've been working with now for a year and a half, and he was 300 pounds overweight. He's lost over, I think he said he lost 100 and something yesterday, 105 or 110 pounds yesterday. He said he lost 110 pounds yesterday. And this is the kind of stuff that happens once you start to understand how the body works, once you get on a nutritional supplement program, once you eliminate toxicity, and make sure you're breathing the body, make sure you're respirating, make sure you're oxygenating correctly. And correctly is the operative word. All right, got a note here from Paul on my Truth Facebook page. By the way, if you're friending me on my personal Facebook page, that's great, but I don't check it that often. So if you go to the Truth with Ben Facebook page, got tons of videos up there and posts as well. I'll be using this Facebook page for my new skincare, skin health products that should be out here in the next few weeks. So if you want to keep up with my posts and my YouTube videos, and we're doing lots of YouTube videos on skincare, there's probably about maybe 20 or 30 of them at truthwithben.com. It's The Truth with Ben, and that's a Facebook page. Paul writes, Hi Ben, any tips on eliminating fibroids? My girlfriend has them, in my opinion, due to stress. I'm taking magnesium, milk thistle, beans, soy, and flaxseed. Now, Paul's a nice guy. He means well. He wants to help his girlfriend. But this is the kind of misinformation that we have out in our culture. Magnesium, milk thistle, beans, soy, and flaxseed. How is that going to help fibroids? Now, if we had to sit there and figure it out, we'd say, well, they're not going to help fibroids. But it's the idea that we think these milk thistle will help by fibroids. Somebody probably told Paul milk thistle will help his fibroid or help his girlfriend's fibroids, or beans or soy. But it's not logical. It doesn't make sense. So in order to understand how to reverse fibroids, we got to understand what they are. They're growth, cells growing. Cells growing out of control is a generic, that's a key word here, generic way that the body breaks down. Remember, we're all generic. We're all breaking down generically, and we're all building generically. And all our cells are generic. If I take Paul's cells, and I take Paul's girlfriend's cells, and I take my cells, and I take your cells, and I put them next to each other under a microscope, Paul's cells look like my cells, and they look like his girlfriend's cells. His girlfriend doesn't have special cells, and Paul doesn't have special cells, and I don't have special cells. And really, that is really the crux of the problem. We don't think cellularly. We don't think of the body as being made up of cells. Why? Because the doctor and the medical model don't tell us this. You know why they don't tell us this? Because they can't do anything about a cell. This is the dirty little secret of medicine. The medical model is helpless at the level of a cell. Yet all disease is cell disease, which means the medical model is helpless against all disease. Okay, check that out. All disease is cell disease. The medical model is helpless at the level of a cell. Thus, the medical model is helpless when it comes to reversing all disease. That's just logic, Aristotelian logic. The medical model cannot help us at the level of a cell. But this doesn't matter because we're all generic and all our cells are the same. And when a cell breaks down, first of all cells break down from the same reasons. They're toxic, they're suffocated, and they're starved. And when they break down the same way. They grow too fast. They grow too slow. They secrete too much stuff. They secrete not enough stuff. Or they secrete the wrong stuff. That's it. Fibroids, osteoporosis, hernias, Alzheimer's disease, high blood pressure. You can boil it all down to cells making too much stuff, not making enough stuff, making the wrong stuff, or growing too fast or too slow. It's all the same stuff. It doesn't matter what's happening necessarily. What matters is the starvation, suffocation, and toxification. You want to reverse any degenerative disease. If you want to be a healthcare professional and help your fellow man or woman, all you got to know is those 3 points: starvation, suffocation, and toxification. For Paul, fibroids, starvation, Paul's girlfriend, fibroids, starvation, suffocation, toxification. Well, how do you deal with suffocation? You breathe. Yeah, does that sound silly? I hope it doesn't, because it's very, very powerful. Sit on the couch, oxygenate, sit on the couch, blow off carbon dioxide and toxins. Slow, deep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Secondly, for fibroids or anything else, get on the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients. Get on the Healthy Start Pack. Make sure you're using your macronutrients, protein, fats, and vegetable carbohydrates, and also fiber, as we'll come to find out. And then detoxification, and you don't need any fancy schmancy detoxification formulas. Fasting is the best way to detoxify. Another good way to detoxify is exhaling. And if you're, along with fasting, caloric restriction. As far as fibroids go, if you want to really hit nutrition hard, make sure you're focusing on fats and fat absorption and fat digestion. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. For Paul's girlfriend, if she starts fasting, restricting her calories, focusing on fats, getting on the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients, making sure she's deep breathing, focusing on her deep breathing, the fibroids will go away on their own. On their own. What's the doctor going to do? Cut them. God forbid, if it gets worse, he'll cut the whole organ out. That's the medical model. And anybody who's satisfied with the medical model, you can tune off right now and let your doctor handle things. But if you're not satisfied with the medical model, or you've been a victim of the medical model, everything we talk about on this program is for you. Everything we talk about on this program are ways that you can avoid going to the doctor, interfacing with the medical model, which can do nothing for you at the end of the day anyway. All right, our number today is 844-236-6010, and I know I ranted a lot today. We'll continue talking about these amazing, amazing short-chain fatty acids tomorrow, and then we'll also talk about nitrates. Yesterday was a cool article that was published in FASEB Journal, the FASEB Journal, the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, Why Nitrate Supplementation May Increase Athletic Performance. This just came out yesterday, but if you've been listening to The Bright Side, you know that nitrates increase athletic performance because they upregulate nitric oxide, and they improve circulation. They improve heart health. They improve oxygenation to cells. They improve oxygenation everywhere in the body. And that's why nitrate supplementation may increase athletic performance. Now, the bright side has been corroborated by the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology. Not that we needed corroboration, because it's just common sense, but just found it very interesting. This is in the March 2015 issue of the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, the Journal of the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, Why Nitrate Supplementation May Increase Athletic Performance. Okay, 844-236-6010. Let's go to Randy in Oklahoma. What's up, my friend? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how are you, Ben?
Good. What's cooking?
Well, for about 2.5 months, I've had kind of a loose stool diarrhea type thing.
Okay, got it.
And I've pretty much tried everything I've heard you say on the radio, and I use the Tangy Tangerine all day, and I've used the Nightly Essence.
That might have something to do with it. That might have something to do with it. Diarrhea, you know, if you've listened to this program, it sounds like you have. You know, it's all about common sense, really. We talk about the body, but we talk about the body in terms of common sense. So what is diarrhea from a common sense perspective? Not a medical perspective, not a doctor perspective. I'm not talking about what will your doctor say or what will the medical model tell you, just common sense. Diarrhea is stuff leaving the body in an uncontrolled fashion. You know, simply put. Does that make sense to you? Stuff is getting out of the body.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the common sense a question that you want to ask yourself is, why is the body feeling like it needs to expel things out in an uncontrolled fashion? And the answer, quite obviously, is going to be something is getting into your system that the body doesn't like, and it's trying to get rid of it. Okay, hang on, and we'll finish up when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back after this on the bright side. Don't go away. Okay, we are back. Randy in Oklahoma is okay. You there, my friend?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, stop eating, bro. Fast for 2 days. Watch what happens to your diarrhea. Don't even supplement. Don't even do your BTT. Watch what happens to your diarrhea. Okay? Chances are pretty darn good your diarrhea will stop. Then start to eat as normal, except add food slowly and try to pick just one kind of food. And watch what happens. What you'll notice is that the diarrhea will you'll get loose stools again, depending on what you're eating, and that's a food that your body is trying to eliminate. Okay? Now,
yes, sir.
It may be that you're not processing a macronutrient, something you need. You may not be processing fats correctly or protein correctly. You may have a problem with vegetable sugars or fiber. You're going to have to isolate those. And if it turns out that you need that kind of food, say you have a problem with protein. Well, you can't not eat protein. So then you're going to have to start using digestive support to help you absorb those kinds of foods. But until you know what the foods are that are causing the problem, then you're not going to be able to answer. You're not going to be able to solve it. So do a food fast. Then when you start eating again, do a food diary. Now, I should also tell you the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, because it's such a big, powerful dose of nutrition, sometimes that's too intense for the body to absorb everything, and then the nutrients will pass through the small intestine, they'll go into the large intestine, and then as they go into the large intestine, your body will try to eliminate everything with a lot of water. Minerals and tend to suck up water, and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine can be the cause of loose stools. If that is the case, then you're going to want to start using your Beyond Tangy Tangerine much more slowly throughout the day, sipping on it, which is always a good idea anyway, and then using it perhaps with a little bit of food to have the digestive juices kicking in when you use your BTT. Does that help? Consider it a food issue is the bottom line. What's that?
Yeah. My energy level's doubled since I started taking the Tangy Tangerine, but this other problem has just came up.
See what it is that you're eating that's causing the problem, and the only way to do it is to do a 2 or 3 day fast and then reintroduce foods. Okay? Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless you. Good luck with everything. Okay, let's go to Stephen in Texas. Welcome to the bright side. What's up, bro?
Yeah, I've been controlling my type 2 diabetes just through diets and supplements.
You mean you've been eliminating it? You mean you've been eliminating it entirely because it's a food disorder that can be completely reversed? Controlling it is the way that you don't control it.
I completely got off my medications, and
that's awesome.
Obviously, I neglected my blood pressure because last week I went into the hospital with congestive heart failure.
Well, that's not good. That's not good at all.
Well, they told me there's no reversing it.
Well, that's because they don't know. So here's what you want to do, Stephen, okay? Remember, I don't know if you heard me talking earlier in the program, but one of the first things we got to do if we're going to really reverse degenerative disease, which we can all do, is we got to throw out everything we know. We got to flush it down the toilet. It's called beginner's mind. All your preconceived ideas about what's good and what's bad and what you should do and what you shouldn't, flush it down the toilet and start from scratch. Congestive heart failure is a sign that your diabetes is not under control. So, and I'm not beating you up. I don't mean to beat you up. I'm trying to help you here. But if we think it's under control, and then we go in and we got high blood pressure and congestive heart failure, it's not under control. But if we think it's under control, then we're going to be like, what do I do now? So if you go to the doctor, because doctors love taking organs out, they'll probably take your heart out and then say, oh, well, you don't have any more congestive heart failure because we took your heart out.
No, they've put me on about 10 different medications.
Okay, so they're not stupid enough to remove your heart, but they're stupid enough to poison it. So I don't mean to get off, and I know I'm a little ticked off.
Oh, I believe you 100%. I always have. I mean,
here's what you want to do, Stephen. Okay, because I want to take your heart. Obviously, if you're in congestive heart failure, you're not going to be a bright side listener for very long if you don't do something about it. So we want to get this thing taken care of. First things first. Get yourself on a nutritional supplement program that features the Mighty 90 essential nutrients. The next thing, if you have any digestive health issues, and you probably do, you got to start tracking those down. Be a detective, a digestive system detective. Do a food diary, fasting, eliminate problem foods. The most likely suspects for problem foods, by the way, are the foods we love the most. So if you want to start off with eliminating foods, eliminate the foods you love the most, or alternatively, spend all day eating just the foods you love the most and watch your digestive symptoms. If you have bloating or gas or diarrhea or loose stools or whatever, you know that's a food you got to eliminate. Then you want to start using probiotics. That's the core of digestive health. Good bacteria get on the Biolumin Nightly Essence. Now, insulin and sugar and diabetes go hand in hand with heart failure. Heart failure is a symptom of messed up blood sugar, essentially. So if you had long-term diabetes, the chances are you still have blood sugar issues percolating along in there. So what you want to do for that is you want more protein, more good fat, and that means essential fatty acids, as well as coconut oil and butter, as we've been talking about, and less foods that spike your blood sugar. Now, some of that's going to take some willpower, and some of it is going to take just replacing your carb intake with protein and coconut oil. So it's going to be a combination of willpower and replacing the bread and the pasta and the potatoes and the desserts and the soda pop and all the foods we all love with more protein, especially egg protein and whey protein if you're not a vegetarian. If you are a vegetarian, then you want to go into probably beans and mushrooms and high protein vegetables like broccoli perhaps. Hemp seed powder can help you too, as well as coconut oil and essential fatty acids, which are part of the Mighty 90 essential nutrients. If you want to target the heart specifically, which, you know, it's this, I'll give you some ideas for doing that, but you're going to affect all the parts of your body with the B vitamins and vitamin C. You also might want to throw in some magnesium too. Between magnesium, the B vitamins, and vitamin C, you've got the three of the most heart-friendly nutrients, and 3 nutrients that are typically deficient in the standard American diet. That's magnesium, about 2,000 milligrams a day, vitamin C about 5,000 milligrams a day, and then the B complex all day long. And of course, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is in many ways a B complex cocktail. So sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine can help. Coenzyme Q10 is absolutely a must-have for all heart failure issues. Get the oil-soluble, the kind that comes in a gel cap. Do 200 milligrams a day, or at least 100 milligrams a day. It's a little bit pricey. If you want to go all out with your Coenzyme Q10, use ubiquinol instead of ubiquinone. Nol ends N-O-L. U-B-I-Q-I-N-O-L. Ubiquinol instead of ubiquinone. And also vitamin E, which is ubiquinol or coenzyme Q10's cousin. So vitamin E with coenzyme Q10. Last but not least, get yourself on the ultimate selenium, which will help you with your sugar and will also help you with your heart. Heart disease can indeed be caused by selenium deficiency, which, like magnesium deficiency and B complex deficiency and vitamin C deficiencies, are very common. Last but not least, get yourself a Vitamix and start doing veggie juices, celery juice especially, because it's got all those nitrates in it and fiber, and that'll help you make your short-chain fatty acids, which we've been talking about, and then also you can throw in cucumber and beets and your favorite veggies. In fact, as I was saying yesterday, veggies and salt and spices in a blender with water are unbelievably filling, satisfying, and energizing. Thanks so much for your call, Stephen. Appreciate it, and I hope we helped you out. Mike in Florida, got about 2 minutes here, real quick, because I want to get to some more calls. What's cooking? Mike. Okay.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mike. We're running out of time here, bro. What's on your mind?
I have a 18-year-old son.
Okay.
And he's having a lot of pressure in his head, which is actually making him dizzy, lightheaded. He has been to a lot of different specialists about his too much high pressure in the back of his eye socket.
Mike, I don't know what's with the connection, but I cannot hear you, brother. We got an awful connection here. Are you on speaker or something? Okay, we lost Mike. Mike, call back tomorrow. We'll get you up. We'll get you first up. I apologize. Ramone in Texas, what's going on?
Hey, Ben, how you doing? And we've talked before. I just was listening to Joyce Riley's program, and they had Deborah Tabaris on there.
Okay.
You know, the
vaccine. She's a vaccine. Is she a vaccine lady?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. She was reading in there. You know how they're wanting to do mandatory vaccines for kids and immunizations and all that jazz.
Okay.
Part of that program that I wasn't aware of was that it's going to be mandatory for adults as well.
Oh, really? How are they going to mandatory? How are they going to make it mandatory? They'll put you in jail if you don't do it? I mean, what are they going to do?
I guess they'll come and get you or something. I don't know exactly, but I know that they're taking public comment, and it's important for everybody. Even though I don't believe in this that much, it's important for everybody to raise the stink as much stink as we can, because it's not only going to be mandatory for current vaccines, it's going to be retroactive for past anything you missed in your childhood.
Are you kidding me? That's unbelievable.
No, that's in the law. That's in the law. And so if it passes, or if we don't raise a stink, then shame on us, you know.
You hit the nail on the head, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does pass. Did you guys hear about that internet or that net neutrality thing, by the way, that just passed too? This is a crazy world we live in. Thanks so much for your call, Ramon. Appreciate it. That's all the time we have for today. Listen, you guys, we can take our health back. We can do this ourselves. That's what the bright side is. We don't need the medical model to stay healthy. Suffocation, starvation, and intoxication are the core of the disease process. Get yourself on a nutritional supplement program. Detoxify by fasting and practicing your deep breathing techniques. Make sure you're oxygenating. And whatever your health challenge is, it can begin to reverse because it's in the body's nature to heal. Praise God. Thanks for listening, folks. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have yourselves a spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.